Hi, I'm Dan with Family Piano, and today we're going to play What's Wrong with This Piano. So I'm here at the studio where I take lessons from, and we have a piano here that the teacher has allowed me to go ahead and work on in order to help further my experience as a trainee piano technician. So what we have going on here, and the way to play this is see how soon you can figure out what's wrong with the piano. If you're an experienced piano technician, you'll probably know immediately, but there is a little bit of a curveball in this one, so we'll see if you get it right and don't get distracted. For the rest of you, well, let's just play along, because this will also be a video in how to do troubleshooting. See, I'm an electronics technician as trained, but a lot of experience in troubleshooting also goes towards pianos, because there's something called a half-split method in electronics where if something doesn't work, you go halfway down, see if it works there. Same thing with the piano. I'll kind of demonstrate that method as we investigate what's going on here. So, the symptoms. E4 is a key that sometimes sticks. Right now, it's not being too bad. It kind of depends on the weather. Sometimes it doesn't come up all the way. You can kind of see that it is, well, this is a F4, but you can see that if I let it up slowly, it's not quite coming up all the way. And also, its neighbor will have the same issue where it doesn't always come up all the way. When it's really bad, the keys will just stay down and you actually have to pull them up in order to play the note again. Like this one here, it's not coming up, so it's not working. You can pull it up, play it, and then it gets stuck. Same thing with this one. So let's lock in your answers if you think you know what's wrong, but let's go ahead and investigate further here. All right, so anywhere between the key to the hammer, there could be a problem. So let's go ahead and get this open here. All right, so now with it in this state, we'll go ahead and show you some troubleshooting here. So we got the key, we have the whipping, we have the hammer. Problem could exist anywhere along there. So if we want to do half split, well, it's kind of in thirds, so we can't really go in half, but we can check the hammer first. So let's go ahead and play those keys. So it's these hammers here. You can see that one is staying up a little bit. So it's these two here. So let's go ahead and just manually move them, just pushing just enough to get it to move forward. And we can see if I just do that, the hammer is moving freely. This is because there's no mechanical coupling between the whipping and the hammer. The hammer is only coupled to it by gravity, so when we push the hammers forward, really we're lifting it off the jack. So if there's a problem with the hammer, it should show up here, but as we can see, the hammer is moving just fine. So now we can go down to see, all right, is there a problem maybe in the whipping somewhere? So if I just move these, I'm lifting it up off of the capstan on the key. So I just lift it up, return it slowly, and everything works just fine. Now I need to clarify that when I say it works, I'm not saying that everything is exactly to spec, where it's a 1/8 inch let off and this much blow distance, but it's just that it's resetting like it's supposed to. So you can see that there's no problem from the whipping on up. So the problem has to be in the key somewhere. So I got there, I thought, right, well, the first thing to look for in the key is, maybe there's a coin or something down there. There's something jammed in between the keys. So I looked around and there wasn't anything in here. And if you're an experienced piano tech, maybe you have identified what the actual real problem is, because there's something to notice about these particular keys. These two keys are in the exact center. So if you're really good, you probably identified what the actual issue is here. And that is, if you look underneath here, there is a screw that has somehow let loose and is actually contacting the center of the key. So let's get the fall board off and see what's going on. The screw here, right in the center of the piano, which I assume holds this up so that pressure won't push down on the keys, it has let loose, and so that is why we have friction on these keys. Dope. You didn't see that. Where'd it go? Fortunately, I was recording this and know that I dropped that thing back here. And there it is. Let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Very professional there, sure. Right. So it looks like this bottom one does indeed hold the center of this rail up at a certain height. I gotta figure out what that height is. Let's try putting it just above the keys and tighten the top one down and see what happens. Yeah, and this does come up. It bows up slightly without the screw in there. So at that height, I'm going to raise it up a little bit, because if I was to tighten it down here, these two keys right here go down a little bit when I push it down. So I'm going to back that off a little bit, because we don't want tightening this down to bring any of the keys down and affect our level. We want it ruler straight. Still pressing down just slightly on this key here. Now I just realized I got the wrong kind of screwdriver. This needs a special screwdriver here, because the screw is in the center and the slots are on the outside. You can see the screw is in the center and the slot's on the outside. So as soon as I get this tightened down too far, it's not going to let me go any further. With a little bit of luck, I can get on the side here. I got something here that'll work. Alright, that is nice and tight now. Now as I let off, I'm nice and slow. Whoops, what was that? I think what could be the problem here, there's no lost motion here. Normally for an upright piano, from what I've read, you do need just a hair of lost motion, otherwise the jack might not reset. So let's just turn this in maybe a quarter turn. This one I haven't adjusted. Okay. Alright, so here's the jacks here. Here's Jack's butt here. So this is the one I just adjusted. After I play it, you'll notice when I release it, it makes that little movement there. That's the jack resetting. Now this one that I have not adjusted yet, you can see that it doesn't quite reset all the way. If I wiggle the key up, and there it goes. So we'll do the same thing with this one and the other one that we found down there that's having our same issue. Alright, these two keys on the end don't want to come up all the way. This time the problem seems to be in the whipping somewhere. So these two here, like this one, if I let off slowly, it'll stay up. It's not quite falling down all the way. Same with this one. Let's look at that. Here's the problem. I do not have the tools to do this on me, but as you can see, it is getting caught up on the hammer right next door. And if I, there we go, right there. So this hammer head, and probably this one too, are not straight. And they're therefore getting caught up on the hammers next to them. I'd have to look at a video on how to correct that. I know you can use a heat gun to kind of fix that, but that's beyond the tools and equipment and comfort level for dealing with someone else's piano right now, even though these are like A0 and C0 or C1, something like that. Alright, so I did have this to where it wouldn't press down on the keys, but I did notice that it was bowing in because on the extreme edges there is a gap. That was not here if I adjust it to where it's just not pushing down the key. So I'm going to take this up 2 turns so that I'm not bowing it. Alright, before I get too far here, alright, I think we should go ahead and put it back together, the rest of it. Alright, so we identified and fixed the primary problem, which was that screw that was holding this at the wrong height, it had come loose and these middle keys were rubbing against it. So fixed that issue. Also fixed a couple little issues here and there where the jack wasn't completely resetting. Identified a couple issues, but all in all got it back together and it's playing great. So Dan with Family Piano, and I'll see you for my next restoration vid hopefully. Or maybe a progress video. Who knows? See ya.